Hello everyone and welcome to Total War Through the Ages. In this episode, we're going to be defending in a couple of sieges, as well as we do have a land battle as well. So this episode is going to be a bit longer than some of the previous ones. I'm going to having a lot of the episodes start to be a little bit longer just because they kind of, the way it flows together a little bit better that way. So here we have, in the north, I'm just shifting forces around. I'm drawing a bunch of them back to the back towards the areas where we need them more, and meanwhile the Scipii sent a very large army over to this settlement here, and I don't have high hopes, but we are going to do our best to try and defend it. That's the first siege we're going to be coming to right now. So yeah, our chances of success aren't great. Now, I was hoping that if we were able to destroy the enemy's ram, then that would immediately make a bunch of their units obsolete because they wouldn't be able to get down the gate. However, they had a ballista. It was either a ballista or a scorpion. Yeah, there it is. It's a scorpion. So I was like, ah, crap, this is not going to go well. And they ended up attacking the gate tower or the gatehouse. And the reason is because once they destroyed the gatehouse, I keep wanting to say gate tower. I don't know why, but once they destroyed the gatehouse, it no longer either pours burning oil slash sand or whatever it is that it does that kills a bunch of guys when they try and come through the gate, and it also destroys the towers, meaning that it can't shoot fire arrows and potentially destroy the ram. Now, I was really hoping that our tower here on the corner would destroy the siege tower. Unfortunately, it did not. So that did not go according to plan, and at this point you can probably guess the outcome. I was really banking on the fact that the battering ram would get destroyed, but I kind of had forgotten that they actually had a scorpion. So yeah, the fact that they had the scorpion, it kind of makes it really hard to deal. Like, I don't really have anything to deal with the scorpion. I could have maybe tried to sally out, but I probably would have just lost. I would have just lost guys at that point. So yeah, here they destroyed the gatehouse, and now they're just going to be destroying the ram, or using the ram to destroy the gates, and flooding in. But they also have ladders too, which you can't counter. Like, at least with siege towers and battering rams, you can destroy them. Technically, you know, in theory, you can destroy them. But unfortunately, no such luck with the ladders. Now, at this point, they're charging through the gate. And they actually had a lot of triari, which was really, really upsetting, because it's like I wanted to charge in, but I was a little bit hesitant because I didn't want my cavalry to get destroyed by the spearmen. So I kind of waited, and I was kind of trying to wait till they completely had their backs towards the other unit before I charged in. At this point, I'm trying to get the early legionaries down here as quickly as possible, but the Praetorians I had to... actually, I think the siege tower may have been destroyed, actually, come to think of it. Maybe if I get a better shot, because it looked like it was actually destroyed. I don't remember. No, yeah, so the siege tower was actually destroyed. Okay. Yeah, so my general ran, and then he promptly died as he should, you know, because he ran, so he got killed while he was trying to run away. So that's karma right there. You don't run away. If you're a general of the Julii, you stand your ground to the last. Yeah, I'm skipping forward here. You can pretty much guess what happens. It's not that hard to figure out. We basically do it. Yeah, there's not much more I can say. We lose this battle pretty badly. Now, I should have prepared more for this, because I knew that the Scipii were going to be sending units. I knew they sent an army somewhere in this, basically west of Carthage, so I knew that they were going to be attacking one of my cities over here. So I really could have done a better job preparing by increasing the garrison, you know, training up more troops and stuff. But it's just one of those things that I didn't prioritize it ever. And so it was just one of those things, since I didn't prioritize it, I kind of just like, whatever. So we're going to have to recapture that settlement because we want it. We want it back. But but in the meantime, this same turn, so they attacked us in the siege and they captured us, but they are now attacking us here, which I'm not quite sure why they're doing. Or actually, no, maybe we attacked them, come to think of it. I think we might have attacked, this might be the next turn, and I think we might have actually attacked them. I don't recall, but here we have, this battle actually looks very, very similar. The setup is almost exactly the same as the battle from, I believe it was last episode, where again we were fighting the Scipii in North Africa, so the map looked pretty much exactly like this, and my deployment was pretty much exactly the same. I had the Roman cavalry on the left, 3 legionary cavalry on the right, and of course the standard checkerboard pattern. However, there is one big difference between this and that other battle. One, we actually outnumber the enemy, I believe, fairly substantially. Not a lot, but we do outnumber them a bit. As well as I also am a lot more aggressive with my infantry. Like the previous battle, I let them kind of come and attack me, and this one I'm actually advancing up a lot faster, as you see me doing there. Now with my cavalry, since my legionary cavalry is beaten up pretty badly, I was a little bit cautious. I didn't, kind of do a hard flank around the enemy force like I did in the previous battle with this army. So instead I'm going to basically use them more as just support, as like kind of more how like cavalry I kind of usually use them when I don't have a lot, which is basically just support role. Now I don't know why, but the enemy charged 1 unit of cavalry out here, and you can probably guess what happens. Yeah, they don't make it. I have no idea why they did that, and they rout almost instantly and barely did any damage. But either way, we're going to basically just do this. We're going to continue on and with our advance. Now, kind of as I was saying, I'm a lot more aggressive with my infantry this time, and as you notice, I'm not doing that much with my cavalry because of that. Again, I kind of need to get better at micromanaging, being able to do cavalry and infantry at the same time. So what I do here is, I actually wanted to leave this in for a very important reason, because I want to talk about a few little things I do here once my infantry get engaged. So usually I skip the parts where I pause, but at this point I kind of wanted to show you. So the way I decided to do this is I kind of match up the way I match up the infantry is like the one that's in the back, I have them attack, and then I have one of the ones in the front line support as well into the attack. And as you can see here, I have the back rank to the right move up to kind of secure the flank of the frontmost unit, the one I just had selected, the early legionaries that are going to be engaged. I actually pull back the auxilia because I'd rather actually just have my swordsmen get engaged rather than the auxilia take the hit. Partly because I'm actually going to be charging them, because usually I use my auxilia to basically make it so that the enemy charges the auxilia, and then my infantry can countercharge. But since I'm basically kind of charging them at the same time they're charging me, I'd rather just get my auxilia out there and keep them kind of safe. So at this point, I initially was going to have that 1 unit attack those guys, but I actually end up just kind of flanking everything around instead. And at this point, yeah, again, like as you see there, like I have that 1 unit that I was going to attack the unit in front of it, but then it's like, well, I have a perfect opening into that unit's flank, so we're going to just turn there, and then we can turn the Praetorians this way to kind of, again, get the flank off on those guys. And then on our far right, we actually have to send some infantry in to support our cavalry over here that got engaged because I wasn't paying close enough attention. Now we're going to send the other 2 cavalry units in the back to take down their artillery that's sitting back there. And then with this cavalry, I honestly should have pulled our Roman cavalry back there. They're probably going to get killed because of my mistake, but oh well, they're not legionary cavalry, so I don't care as much. I only care if it's our top tier units. Now we had a couple units rout there. It was just our auxilia though, so nothing too bad. The auxilia routes fairly often. Not like they don't just rout at the drop of a hat, but like they will rout if they get engaged by any sort of heavy infantry. Again, they're not meant to fight that. And right there, as you see, we lose our Roman cavalry that just routed over there again because I should have pulled them back. But at this point, the enemy's army is in a state of either routing or completely scattered. So you can probably assume how the rest of this battle goes. And I skipped a lot of this because actually, so this is the main part of the battle, but I skipped a lot of it after this because the rest of it was like me running them down. So I actually cut out a lot of that stuff. As you see here, we've now advanced up. I'm actually looking at it from the enemy's perspective, kind of. And we're actually chasing them, continually on the. You can tell on the mini map, kind of the orientation of the camera, what's going on. But yeah, so we're actually now looking back at where our deployment was, and we're like looking at it from what the enemy would have looked at us. But that out of the way, yeah. So we pretty much just continue running them down, and this is a pretty big victory. I have to say, like I was very proud. I was very happy with the results of this. I wasn't very proud. I think probably my proudest achievement. That'll be interesting. I'll probably in the end of this portion of Total War Through the Ages, when I'm done with the Roman campaign, I think I might go and I might like go through and kind of talk about some of my favorite moments of some of my favorite battles and stuff. But as you see there, we don't actually take that many casualties overall. We take a decent number, but we're also going to advance up these legionaries as just immediate reinforcements, as well as pulling back some of the cavalry to get retrained back at our own settlements. Because again, no point in wasting veterans when we can, of course, just get them trained up, and they'll be even better once we do, because they've now leveled up and have experience and all that stuff. So we're then going to be combined, as you saw there, I combined a bunch of legionaries down because I wanted to have a strong enough force to continue on the attack, as well as we're going to actually besiege the settlement. Now, those 2 legionary units kind of got caught out there, and I was a little bit worried because I thought they might get attacked by another Scipii army, because I believe there was one nearby, but Fortunately, they don't, so we're able to bring them safely into with the main army. They're able to make it safely to the main army. And meanwhile, over here with our ships, we're gonna have some interesting fun here. So I couldn't for the life of me figure out what was wrong. So like I was trying to get my ships combined into my different navies, and as you saw there, I got those all those got fixed. But we'll see in a bit later. I have some problems with getting my navies to do what I want them to. And here, as you saw, I finished off that Scipii army just because I don't want to have an enemy army in the middle of my, on Italy once I've already taken it over. So that was just a minor thing. Just finishing off them, mopping up. And here, we're pulling the army, we're pulling most of our units out of Rome. We're just actually leaving 4 archers in Rome, as well as we're going to also go ahead and start training some urban cohorts, because they're amazing. And we pulled out that large army that's consisted of primarily urban cohorts, princeps, and I think it's mainly urban cohorts and princeps, actually, in terms of infantry. We pulled them out, and they're now we're gonna send them around northeast to basically start attacking the Brudii that way. You'll see where they're headed either this episode or next episode. And there we are pulling out some of our units that we can spare from that settlement, and we're gonna have them board the fleet there. And we're doing the same thing at Corduba, where we're going to have an army prepped to board the fleet. And that army will probably end up going to... I had actually been planning on doing that, and I was going to send it over to deal with... I was going to send it over wherever I needed to, but at this point, they are most definitely needed in North Africa, where I'm probably going to have that army land and retake the settlement that the Scipii just captured from us. And as you see there, that army in the north, we are kind of dragging south a bit. And the main reason I wanted to do that was I'm going to bring them down and kind of attack the Brudii from a little bit from the north. So I'm going to kind of be coming in from the north, or I guess I should say the northwest. I'll be moving to the southeast to attack the Brudii. And as you see, I'm now just continuing to shuffle guys down. I actually have pretty much another army that's gonna... It's not, as you see there, like some of the units are damaged and stuff, but by the time I'm done, kind of shifting forces over to the east, we're actually going to end up having another full army there. So here we have a really, really fun siege. I have to say, this is probably going to be one of my favorite battles at the end of the series. This might be... I might do a highlight reel, kind of highlighting some of my favorite moments of the series. But this one would definitely be up there because it is... Well, I mean, you're going to see in a minute. Well, actually, more than a minute, because the siege does take a while. But you're going to see one of the reasons why I love this so much, because it is pretty hilarious. Sorry about that. I had a cough. Of course, I can't make it through an episode without having some sort of interruption. But here, as you see, we have a pretty good-sized army, but they are attacking us with a decent-sized army as well. And they actually have a few units. I believe it's in this force over here. They have a few units of urban cohorts, and we don't. We only have 2 units of Praetorian cohorts, and then we have everything else is legionaries and auxilia. We have 1 unit of legionary cavalry, and of course the 2 catapults, which actually, the 2 catapults may very well be the MVP of this match, and you will find out why in just a moment. So, here we have 2 catapults. Well, you're probably thinking, well, where are my catapults? So I basically figured out that I was like, okay, here's the deal. These catapults can probably totally fire over our walls, and sure enough, they can. And that works great at destroying siege towers. Now, I actually spent a lot of time in this early part of the battle trying to get them positioned to attack the other siege tower. I never could get them to do it. So I destroyed 1 siege tower, but that was all. But hey, 1 is enough. That's big enough of a advantage there. Now, over here on the western side, and by the way, I'll explain, I'm calling this the western side because if you look at the mini-map, this is the left side of the map, and I'm just going to use the terminology that the top of the mini-map is north, and then east, south, and west. So this is the western side, and then the main other battle is going to be over on the eastern side. But over here, the enemy attacked with one of their units of urban cohorts over here on the western wall, and we have a unit of Praetorians and a unit of legionaries. So hopefully actually, no. Is it a unit? No, those are 2 units of legionaries. We have a unit of Praetorians over there, but they're not one of the ones engaged. The unit of Praetorians is the one down on the ground in front of the gate. Yep, there you go. And so I'm like, okay, well, the battering ram just got destroyed, so we're going to move them back up to the gate. with the battering ram destroyed, I was like, what do I do with these auxilia? Because they're not going to be good fighting on the walls. And then I was like, they have a battering ram over this way. So we're going to move this unit of auxilia over here, as well as the cavalry, because this tiny little force they have on the northeast corner, they only have a battering ram. So they don't have ladders or anything like that. So the auxilia and cavalry will actually be really good for dealing with them, because they're going to, if they breach, even if the battering ram even makes it to the gate, we'll be able to hold them that way. And meanwhile, over here on the southern wall, they do get a siege tower to the wall, and I kind of didn't notice. So I did notice that force during deployment, and I was like, okay, so I need to be sure to keep 1 or 2 units over there where that siege tower is. But I forgot to actually do that when I was actually deploying. So like I saw them at the beginning, and then I deployed everything, and then I started, and I kind of forgot to do that. But we are able to get units over there relatively quickly. Meanwhile, over here on the west wall, they are now pulling more and more guys in, but we now have our Praetorians backing up our 1 unit of Legionaries. And yeah, that fight continues for quite a while on the wall there, just because, you know, it's urban cohorts versus legionaries. Even though the legionaries are weaker, they, you know, we kind of have them outnumbered, and we have the better positioning. But as you see, we're able to get a unit of legionaries over here to hold their ground in the meantime, before we might be able to get some more reinforcements over. But yeah, like I said, we were able to rush 1 unit over without too much problem, because they were already on the wall just a little bit farther to the east. So at this point, they have 2 units engaged here. I believe one of those is the auxilia, and then the other one is the urban cohort. And so yeah, pretty bloody battle. Both of our units of legionaries are very badly damaged, and they have 2 more units coming in as well. But the urban cohorts were almost dead. They were down to just 5 or 6 guys, or somewhere around that. It was very few men left, and so I was really just hoping to finish them off before the other units really got a good foothold up the ladders. And meanwhile, we're going to check over here, and I was like, okay, let's see what progress on my auxilia making. And then I'm like, wait, why is that unit running? And then I kind of guessed, oh, look, yeah, the battering ram's destroyed. So I end up sending the auxilia back to the town center, and the legionary cavalry are sent to the eastern wall, where the only other ram is that the enemy have left. I say right as it gets destroyed. So they are now completely out of rams, which is great, meaning they can no longer get any of their cavalry or anything like that into the city unless they capture the walls, which I kind of have a hard time believing they're going to do. At this point, our 1 unit of legionaries routed on the western wall, but that's fine, because, man, they routed, but then they died. So, they routed, when they were down to just 2 or 3 guys, and then those last couple guys got killed. But at this point, we did finish off the urban cohorts. We did finish off 1 of the other units, so there's only 2 units left. 1 of them is on the walls. 1 of them is still kind of coming up the ladders. And our Praetorians are still pretty healthy. Meanwhile, over here at the siege tower on the southern wall, the southern wall, either one works, I guess. We did a decent amount of damage with the Pila there, but yeah, those legionaries are holding their ground so far. The Praetorians are doing great work here. Well, actually, I have to say, I want to say the 2 units of legionaries, they did a lot of work, because they're the ones who basically got almost entirely wiped out. Well, the 1 unit did get wiped out, and this one came very, very close to it. But our Praetorians were there to kind of seal the deal and finish off the last of the enemies, even though the legionaries took the brunt of the fighting, or took the brunt of the damage. But either way, we successfully repel that initial assault over on the western wall, but they do have 1 or 2 more units of infantry over there, so I was a little bit wary about pulling units away from that wall, because they could in fact actually do another attack. Meanwhile, they are now attacking the eastern wall with their main forces, as well as the southern wall. They're sending units to the southern wall, and then you were as you saw there, there were ladders being raised on the southern wall. I didn't actually spot that at the time, so. Yeah, again, a little mistake on my part. At this point, I'm shifting, I finish off the first assault, and then I'm going to kind of get these units reset. Again, I really like having the units on either side, and we actually allow the attackers to get a small foothold, and then we charge both units in from either side simultaneously, so they are continually flanked, so they can never actually ever not be flanked. They'll be flanked forever. Eternally flanked, I guess you could say. And here we're going to have 1 unit of legionaries pulled off from the walls, because we need reinforcements, and then we have our 1 unit Praetorians over from the eastern wall are now coming to the southern wall. This is all a little bit hectic. Yeah, it was pretty hectic during the battle as well, as I was trying to get these guys up there as quickly as possible, and I was trying to shift. I was initially going to shift these guys over, but they were still fighting people, and I'm like, ah, crap. I gotta wait. And then I had another unit attacked that section of the eastern wall as well. So it's gonna just end up being our Praetorians against the world, or actually it's just our Praetorians against that 1 unit right now, though they do have more units coming up the ladders very soon. And this unit of legionaries, I was like, okay guys, go over to the southern wall. And then I was like, wait a minute, they got more guys coming, but I was like, I can divert units. So at this point, I basically just shifted the entire line down So the guys, as you guys saw there, the guys closest to the southern wall continued on, and then I just kept moving all the legionaries down. Now, this unit of legionaries I do have here, which I'm going to just run, because they actually, I believe, I can't say definitively, but I'm fairly certain that the units move faster when they're not on the walls, but I'm not sure. Actually, if you're, they might move faster, but overall speed might be, or it might take them longer, because they have to go up the towers, and that can take a while. But this is actually a really cool part here in the battle. I didn't have anything to do because all the enemy units were already engaged, so I pretty much just sped it up and just watched as my Praetorians chewed through that unit of the Brutii right there. So that was actually pretty. This was actually pretty entertaining to watch at the time, and I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. Just I think it's cool just watching the units when it's sped up like that, just like boom, 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 killing guy after guy after guy. It's really cool looking. Especially when you have units like Praetorians that are going up against weaker units like Legionaries. Even though there's not a huge difference between... Well, there's a significant difference, but Legionaries aren't weak by any standards. But here, rinse and repeat, just have them sped up. And these are actually just Legionary cohorts fighting another Legionary cohort, but still, same thing applies when they're that outnumbered, they die very quickly. Now, at this point, I had killed all of the enemy infantry, except with one exception being on the western wall. They had one... unit of, I believe, urban cohorts left, but every other unit of enemy infantry was dead at this point. So I was kind of like, what do I do? Like, the AI is not retreating. What do I do? So you know what I did? I ended up just waiting until the very end, and I actually, actually forgot to record that part, but I sallied out with most of my army, and I routed the last couple units that they had over here on the eastern side. It was mainly their general and then like a unit or two of cavalry. I think it was one unit of cavalry, their general, and then they had like one other unit, which I think it might have been a artillery unit. I don't remember, but either way, I routed those guys, and then I just sit here and wait, and look at that kill count. That's one of the reasons this is one of my favorite battles. That was really brutal, and they barely had any guys left, and I actually didn't even take that bad of casualties. I did take a few hundred, but considering we killed like something, I think it was 12 or 1,400, I'm pretty happy with those results. And we also captured an eagle. I don't know what that means, and as you see here, I tried to figure it out, but I had no idea what it meant, and I have no idea how I use it. How do I equip it to my guys? Like, I had no idea, because none of my guys had the little eagle icon on them, so I have no idea what it was. But we captured an eagle, so I guess that's good. I don't know. Maybe post in the comments below if you guys know what that means. But that's all the time we have for this episode, so thank you all for watching. Be sure to check back every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday for more Total War Through the Ages. And as always, till next time.